Have you ever brought home something seemingly ordinary, only to feel like it carried an inexplicable weight, a strange energy you couldn't shake? What if that object wasn't just old or broken, but something far worse, possessed? These are the stories of three ordinary people who discovered the terrifying truth about their seemingly harmless belongings. Possessed objects are more than just creepy folklore. They're the stuff of nightmares brought into the real world. From a doll that whispers to you in the night, to a family heirloom with a dark past, these stories prove that some things should never be touched, let alone owned. I didn't believe it at first either, until I encountered a possessed object myself. But we'll get to that. First, let me share 3 disturbing true horror stories that might make you think twice before buying that antique or taking home a free trinket. Story 1. The Cursed Music Box. It all started when my friend Emily inherited an old music box from her grandmother. It was beautiful, intricately carved with floral designs and painted with faded gold. When she first wound it up, it played a hauntingly beautiful melody that filled the room. At first, Emily loved it. She'd wind it up every night before bed, letting its gentle tune lull her to sleep. But soon she noticed strange things happening. The music box would start playing on its own, even when it hadn't been wound. Sometimes, in the dead of night, she'd wake up to the sound of the melody drifting from her dresser. One night, she decided to record the phenomenon. She set up her phone to capture the music box playing while she slept. When she reviewed the footage the next morning, her blood ran cold. The music box didn't just play on its own, it moved. In the video, the lid slowly creaked open, and the box slid an inch across the surface of the dresser. Worse, faint whispers could be heard over the melody, as if someone or something was singing along. Emily tried to get rid of it. She threw it in the trash, but it reappeared on her nightstand the next morning. Desperate, she buried it in her backyard, but the music still played faintly at night, as if calling to her. It wasn't until she enlisted the help of a spiritual medium that the haunting stopped. The medium claimed the music box was tied to a vengeful spirit who had used it to lure victims in life. Emily burned the box under the medium's guidance, and the music finally ceased. Story 2. The Haunted Mirror. This one happened to a colleague of mine, Sarah, who loved collecting vintage decor for her home. She found the mirror at a flea market, an ornate antique piece with an intricate brass frame. It was expensive but worth it, or so she thought. After hanging it in her hallway, Sarah started noticing odd occurrences. At first it was small things, reflections in the mirror that didn't match the room, shadows that seemed to move when no one was there. Then the dreams started. Sarah began having vivid nightmares of a woman with hollow eyes staring at her through the mirror. In the dreams, the woman would beckon Sarah to step closer, whispering incomprehensible words that sent chills down her spine. One night, after a particularly disturbing dream, Sarah woke up to find the mirror fogged up, as if someone had breathed on it. Written in the condensation were the words, "Let me out." Terrified, Sarah tried to remove the mirror, but it wouldn't budge. It was as if the frame had fused to the wall. Desperate, she covered the mirror with a blanket, hoping to block whatever presence was trapped inside. But that night, the blanket was torn down, and Sarah awoke to find her reflection wasn't her own. It was the woman from her dreams. Sarah eventually sought the help of a paranormal investigator, who determined that the mirror had been used in seances by its original owner. The trapped spirit had become bound to it, using it as a portal to reach the living. After an intense cleansing ritual, the mirror cracked down the center, and the paranormal activity ceased. Sarah sold the broken pieces to an artist, who unknowingly turned them into jewelry. To this day, she wonders if the spirit might still be out there, waiting for someone to pick up a piece. Story 3. The Possessed Painting. This is my story, and even now I can't explain what really happened. I've always loved art, and I often visited thrift stores and antique shops looking for unique pieces. One day I stumbled upon a painting that immediately caught my eye. It depicted a stormy landscape with a lone figure standing at the edge of a cliff. The colors were dark and brooding, but there was something mesmerizing about it. The shopkeeper seemed eager to sell it, offering it at a price that was almost too good to be true. I hung the painting in my living room, proud of my find. But almost immediately strange things began happening. At night I'd hear faint sounds like wind howling, even though all the windows were closed. Sometimes I'd swear the figure in the painting had shifted positions, standing closer to the edge of the cliff or turned slightly toward me. The worst came a week after I brought it home. I woke up in the middle of the night to find the painting lying face down on the floor. Thinking it had fallen, I picked it up, only to see that the canvas was warm to the touch. Then I saw the note. Scrawled on the back of the painting, in jagged handwriting, were the words, "Do not look." From that night on, I avoided looking directly at the painting, but it was impossible to ignore. Every time I walked past it, I felt its presence, like it was watching me. One night, I finally had enough. I took the painting outside to the trash, but as I turned to go back inside, I heard a voice whisper, "Why?" I froze, too terrified to look back. The next morning, the painting was gone. I never saw it again, but for weeks after, I had nightmares of the lone figure on the cliff. In my dreams, the figure turned toward me, revealing a face twisted in anger. I don't know what happened to that painting or who has it now, but if you ever come across a stormy landscape with a lone figure, think twice before bringing it home. Possessed objects are more than just items. They're vessels for the unknown. Whether it's a music box, a mirror, or a painting, these stories show that some things are better left where they are. The next time you're drawn to something unusual, take a moment to ask yourself, what might be attached to it? Because sometimes it's not just a thing you're bringing home, it's something far more sinister. And once you've invited it in, there's no telling if you'll ever be able to get rid of it.